Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Austin. Got some big news today. Got a clickbaity title on this video as well. You've already seen it, so I don't really have to introduce it much, so let's go take a look. I basically got a free FC, as the title states. Implies, as the title implies. Yeah, this is going to be a good one. Alright, so let's take a look. I'm going to go to a huge transitional light. Check that out. Just going to do a real quick walk around. Look at that. Alright, so to answer all the 100,000 questions I'm going to get about this car, we're going to start off just kind of picking it apart. So I happen to have a ridiculous amount of notifications on for Craigslist and Facebook and everywhere that an RX-7 could be listed. And this one popped up with a generalized picture of a red FC. It was actually a really nice looking red FC on vert wheels with a body kit on it and like a desert picture. I'm probably no longer going to be able to find that. But somebody posted it up and put it under free stuff on Craigslist. I, of course, being a nerd, had all the notifications set up to get anytime anyone lists RX-7, RX-7, RX-8, RX-8, RX-2, 3, 4, yada yada yada. So this one popped up, basically had 3 sentences. The 3 sentences were something along the lines of FC RX-7 rolling shell, bought it to do an EV conversion, so an electric vehicle conversion, and lost interest and just want to get rid of it. So I emailed the guy 28 minutes after he had posted it, and he responded pretty quickly and said, okay, well, I'll let you know, we'll figure it out, I'll get back to you. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So he doesn't get back to me for another day or two, and I kind of prodded him, and I was like, hey, like, do you still have this? Do you want me to come out and get it? And he's like, oh, well, someone was supposed to come out yesterday and get it, and they didn't show. And I said, well, I've got a truck, I'll go rent a trailer, I'll come pick it up right now. And he goes, okay, well, 2:00 p.m. today, meet me there, and it's at my parents' house, blah, blah, blah. We go through this whole thing, and eventually I show up. It's an old Russian couple here in Minneapolis. I'm sorry, I'm assuming their nationality, but sounded like they spoke Russian, and his name was Vlad. So I'm going to go ahead and assume Russian, Ukraine, somewhere in that Eastern European strain. So show up. The short story was that the dad, the guy, Vlad, had a stroke and didn't talk a whole lot anymore, had some physical impairment from the stroke, and as a result he didn't want to continue having this car in his possession anymore because it didn't do him any good, because he wasn't going to be able to finish it. So his son had listed it on Craigslist, and I happened to be texting his son and got a hold of him, and he was the one that kind of set up the meet. So I went out there, met with the old couple, and they said basically you can just take the car, we don't want it anymore. She was speaking for him primarily, and she was like, you can have anything in the garage you want here, like a 1-stall garage. And I'm not the type of person to take other people's tools or anything like that, so I left them everything that was in there. I just wanted the car. So had my brother come with me. I'll post some pictures up here. We ended up doing the old unhook the car hauler from the truck trick, and when we did that, we were able to pull the car up because it was on a flat. So like this wheel, this tire is slashed. It's not going to fill up with air. So as you can see, my ridiculous RX-7 collection, I have a set of T2 wheels that I've had sitting around for forever. So I just threw a T2 one with a good tire on there, and she rolls now. But the car is pretty much complete. There is the rear hatch carpet here, the rear hatch sound deadening. It doesn't have a spare in it, which is fine. But even has like the speakers, the speaker covers, like that one's cracked, but whatever. But the interior is actually all in here. The weird part is that somebody in the history of the car was pulling the dash out. So they either got the dash out or worked on getting most of it out. So they've got these like tacked like sheet metal brackets of a license plate tacked up here, and obviously there's no windshield. So I'm not really sure what the idea was with that. Maybe the windshield was broken. But they do have like the cowl here, and then this is like the actual dash cover that goes on here. So that could be fixed. Overall, this is an 87, reported 87 GXL. So this car has 5-lug front and rear, obviously. Has the big brakes, so 4-piston front brakes. It has a power steering rack in it, so it doesn't have the manual rack, which everybody wants, but that's fine. This can be converted to a manual rack. It also has the electronic dampening suspension. So into the actual struts here, you push a button and you can adjust to go from normal suspension to a sport suspension mode. And kind of just a cool feature of the GXL. I don't remember which other FC chassis had that off the top of my head. Overall, I know that shifter boot, that is in here somewhere. I think a bunch of these vent pieces are in here too. And then I don't know about oh yeah, it does have the warning light there, but I don't know if it has the surround for that. I mean, overall though, like the door cards are actually pretty good for what they are. They're really dirty, like they really need to be scrubbed clean. And same with the floor. The seats are just disgusting, so those would probably be replaced, or I don't even know if I could deep clean those. They're pretty gross. But overall, the car itself, let's take a look at the odometer, has 134,885, so just under 135,000 miles on it. So it was driven. But I mean, for a Minnesota car, it's actually very, very rust free. A lot of these Minnesota vehicles, you'll kind of see, take a gander down here. A lot of Minnesota vehicles will have a lot of rust, specifically down here in these pinch welds on the back side by the wheels. And then the frame rails. I mean, you look down here and even like the frame rails are all still square. There's like no crushed in spots where somebody tried to jack up in the wrong spot. I mean, even like the seams, there's like no rust in there. Let's go ahead, take a look in the back. So this was very heartening to see. I mean, even the rear suspension, overall, there's almost no rust on anything. For Minnesota, at least. Minnesota's really bad at that. I mean, ridiculous. Just ridiculous. There's no gas tank. I mean, I don't care. FC gas tanks aren't that hard to find. No exhaust. There's a drive shaft in here. I mean, it's a GXL rear end, I assume. I haven't double checked whether it's a GXL or somebody had swapped a T2 in. I don't really care either way. Just, I'm not super familiar with that. But yeah, I mean, definitely worth salvaging. Let's go take a look at one of the more fun parts here. So one other thing, my brother makes fun of me for this, but I've got a couple transmissions. I have a transmission problem here. So I've got, this one's a 12A low mileage transmission. I know what that one is. An S4 T2 untouched, like 80,000 miles. S4 T2 modified for a first gen. I honestly don't know what this transmission is, and I really should try to figure it out. It's an FC, but I don't know where I got it. Let's ignore that. And then this one came with the car. So I'm going to go through and label these things because I just like am really bad about remembering it. But this one came with this car, so this one's got about 135 on it, I assume. So in the process of doing this electric vehicle conversion, it looks like he decided to do some relatively sketchy mounting up here. So there's literally just like angle iron bolted through the subframe rail, or it's actually the frame rail with these studs, and just a whole bunch of angle iron. So I'm going to assume he tied batteries into that, but he didn't really chop up the original harness a whole lot besides this engine harness that he chopped out. So like he left the chassis harness, so this is the cruise control actuator. No, that's the wiper motor on the FC. So he left like this in here, but then chopped out the engine wiring harness. But the actual chassis harness has basically been untouched all the way over here, so the chassis harness is pretty good. And even got like the fuse box, he kind of left that stuff alone with like the electric dampening suspension, and it could definitely be salvageable for sure. The weird part I found was that he did Romex wiring in here to a ground right next to the actual fuse box for the car. So that's yeah, that's different, definitely different. But I could put power to this, put ground to this, and potentially like roll the windows up in the car and see if the electrical system's still hooked up. Other than that, over here, way up in the driveway, got an FC aluminum NA hood, which is super cool because then you save a whole bunch of weight. So yeah, I mean, even looking at like the body, front bumper's pretty good. There's like little scratches and stuff, but it's better shape than my front bumper on the FB over here. I mean, headlight covers are still there. The hood is okay. The fenders aren't rusted at all. There's a couple dents and dings that could be PDR'd. I mean, this thing was free. Like, just ridiculous. I'm not really gonna get over it. It's probably the best deal I've found in a really, really long time. I mean, it needs a bunch of work to get to be like a decent car again, but overall, I mean, what can you really ask for more, in my opinion? I just, cool find. So go ahead and ask me my plans for it, I dare you, because I'll give you a different answer depending on when you ask, how you ask, and what minute you ask. So yeah, there you go. Free FC off of Craigslist, what it looks like, what you can get yourself into. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet. Just a cool find though, very cool. My wife was looking out the door this morning. She's looking at this one, and she's looking at this one, and she's looking back at this one. She's like, "Is that a different car?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a FC." Like, I've had like, I don't even know how many. I should count, to put up a count here of how many RX-7s I've had. But she's like, "Well, I like it. Like, it's actually really nice, like clean." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." Said it's stupidly clean for what it is. I mean, even the badges are still on the back. I mean, my badge is ripped off here and here. I mean, anyways, she's like, "Well, what are you gonna do with it?" I said, "I don't know. Like, figure it out. I could part it out, or I don't know yet." She's like, "Well, it's pretty nice. Like, what if you fixed it up and made it run?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can do that." Definitely a little bit of cleaning out somebody's old project here, and like deep cleaning everything, getting all the mouse nests and junk out of it, and seeing if I can salvage the dash. I mean, even the dash isn't even really cracked. Like, there's a whole little like tack thing in the glove box, but jeez, even the ignition, keys in the ignition over there, I don't know. I don't know if I can part this one out, guys. Like, it's overall needs a lot of like cleaning, but cool car. So yeah, there we go. That's what it looks like to get a free FC off of Craigslist. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get to the end of this video here, so that way everybody quits barking at me for taking too long. and we'll move on. About a 15.5 minutes here. Let's just say that I'm pretty excited. It's a very cool thing to find. I just happened to get lucky enough to be the first crazy RX-7 guy to get there, and see where we go from here. Maybe I build an FC and have an FC next to this first gen. I mean, they're the same color, red exterior, gray interior. This car has now basically every option for a first gen, and that car will have basically every option for a second gen. It's just that one didn't have a turbo, and this one didn't have power windows in it originally, but now it's going to. Anyways, we'll get done with this video here, so I quit yakking. Thanks again for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. This is Austin with Dreamin' Rotary, and feel free to check out the rest of the channel, everybody. I appreciate it when you do. I'll throw up some videos here at the end on this end title screen, so you can click on other stuff, take a look at a different video, see if you're interested in any like, comment, subscription really helps. Anything you do like that will just kind of help grow the channel, and I'd like to get this thing a little bit bigger for some future plans I have. So thanks again for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. I will see you later.